All right, guys. So, welcome to another Ask Philip. This is for Friday, September 12th, 2025. We have one question today, but it's a really good one related to hunger and training versus non training days, especially when in a surplus, which can be a kind of a confusing situation. So, we're going to answer that in a moment. Before I do, a couple quick announcements. The first one is, as always, the podcast. Most of you guys follow this and are checking it out. Every week we have 3 episodes. This week, some really good ones. Starting Monday, I put out an episode about some of my favorite food logging hacks in MacroFactor. If you don't know already, that is my favorite nutrition app. It's the one I use personally, the one that I recommend anyone use because it's more than just a food logger. It also estimates your metabolism and gives you science-based targets based on your metabolism, which the other apps don't do. Apps like MyFitnessPal require that you decide how much you want to eat. This app does it for you. So I decided I would put down a list of ways to make it easier and faster and even more effective. So check that out. Wednesday's episode was in response to one of our Physique University members' questions about soreness. And I really get into the details about DOMS, about when you would expect soreness or not, why you shouldn't chase soreness for its own sake, and so on. So if you're wondering about soreness in general, it's a good one. And then today's episode with Dr. Mickey Williden, she's awesome. I think you guys are going to love this. We really hit it off. She's got great chemistry, but also awesome take on the flexible approach to nutrition, just like we talk about. And it's really about skills. So this episode with Dr. Mickey Williden, who is the host of Wikipedia podcast, is about all the different skills that you want to build that will make you successful. Not the how to set up your plan, not how to set up your deficit, and none of that stuff. It's the skills that are going to make all of that successful. So check out those episodes on the podcast. Please text them to a friend if you like them. And then I'd be really grateful if you would leave a 5-star rating and review with Spotify or Apple. We haven't had a review in a while on Apple. It's very difficult, I know, for people to just take the time to go in there. If you haven't done that before, I really would appreciate if you are a fan or a super fan of the show and you haven't done a review, go into Apple specifically and leave a 5-star rating and review. And if you want, I'll probably give you a shout out and read it on a future episode. Okay, the only other announcement is that we have a workshop coming up. Our next workshop on Tuesday is on cardio, and it comes from the lens of, hey, do you hate cardio like I do? Because that's where I hear it most of all from those of us who are trying to improve our performance, our training, our muscle. We're trying to lose fat. We're trying to improve our physique and our body composition. And maybe you think you have to do a lot of cardio to do that, and you really don't. So this is built on a pyramid that I put together that helps you layer your cardio from minimum effective movement needed for all the results you need up to, okay, what do we layer on top of that to make it more sustainable if you need more cardio? And then on top of that for precision and performance as kind of like the icing on the cake. It's $27 for the workshop because you get a lot in there. If you go click on the link and you kind of just read through here, you'll see at the bottom all the stuff I'm throwing in there. You do get the replay. So if you can't make it live, you will get the replay. There's a very detailed guide I will provide that I'm sharing on the call, but you'll get it as a downloadable guide exclusive to people who are at the workshop. I don't give these out outside of the workshops. Sample cardio protocols, examples, specific things you can do. There's even an 8-week plan that you can step-by-step set this up for yourself. All of our training templates, access to Physique University for a month included. So you're basically getting it for free. And then a done-for-you nutrition plan also included that you're getting for free. And this alone is worth more than the price of admission. So I would highly recommend, if you're not already in Physique University, for you to sign up for the workshop Tuesday, 12 Eastern. Even if you can't make it live, you can grab the replay. And that's live.witsandweights.com. All right, let's get into the question for today. By the way, if you guys aren't taking advantage of this, why not? Every month I do a live, well, it's not technically live anymore because Facebook deletes live videos. So I record it instead, so it lives here forever. And it's called Ask Philip. It's a Q&A. And the idea here is that you can ask me a question, a very detailed question that's personalized. So you're kind of getting a little bit of coaching, but you're going to find out, as John's going to find out now, and he knows this already. I'm going to have a lot of questions for him, but I'm also going to share a lot of value here in my answer. So let's dive into the question. John tells us that he is building muscle, he's in a surplus, he's tracking, he is training, he's gaining, and he's recovering. So all the things we want to see. And he's even very precise with his gaining. He says he's gaining 0.35 to 0.61 pounds a week, which comes out to 1.2, 2.4 pounds a month, which I would call fairly conservative. So I would call that slightly on the lean side. But John's more of an advanced trainee, and that might make sense. If I were to start with a beginner or someone who's an intermediate, I might push it to 3 to 4 pounds a month, for example, right? I'm not saying this is too slow, John. I'm just sharing this for the audience here. And your question is, on the 5 days that you lift, which is first thing in the morning, hunger's through the roof. So my first question is, are you eating before you lift? And I asked some follow-up questions further down, and you said, I'll have a protein shake after I lift with added powdered milk Gatorade mix. So it's 40-40 protein to carbs. Then 3 times a week, my pre-bed feeding is a protein bar with fruit or breakfast bar. Occasionally, okay. And then, because I was asking John if his diet is composed of mostly whole nutrient-dense foods, because if the question is about hunger, which it is, we're going to get into it, sometimes the challenge is you're eating too much processed foods, and therefore you're just not filling up your stomach with enough content, even when you're in a surplus for some folks, and then you feel really hungry. So we got that out of the way. My next piece here is going to be, and I haven't even gotten to his question, guys. I'm just going with what he said, is, are you training fasted? Because you said you have a protein shake after you lift. If you're training fasted already, I'm going to jump ahead to part of the answer is eat before you train, because that's going to make a big difference with your hunger hormones. We're going to talk about the science in a bit. I'm going to bore everyone with the nerdiness, the nerdy part of all of this. If you're excited to hear about the science, and that's why you follow Wits and Weights, or you're in this group, you're going to learn a lot about the different aspects of hunger. But I think that's a big one, John, is just if you're training fasted, that right there is something to experiment with. And then you said you're eating. So, okay, let's go back to what he was saying. His hunger is through the roof on the 5 days he lifts. On the 2 days he doesn't lift, he does some light cardio, no hunger, and he forces himself to eat. Currently, I'm eating less calories on my non-lifting days. I don't wake up hungry the next day. Then about 2 to 3 hours after I lift, I'm hungry all day. And I think this is going to come down to timing and whether you're eating before you lift, and also whether you're shifting calories enough. So what I don't want you to do is on the 2 non-lifting days to be eating like at a fasting level of calories, like 800 calories or something. But you probably have some room to keep them around maintenance. I would say don't ever go below maintenance when you're in an overall surplus. Keep them around maintenance, and then because you're only gaining at most 0.61 pounds a week, you probably have more room to go up a little more if needed. All right. I'm just thinking out loud as I answer your question. So ultimately, here's your question. How does hunger play in if you need more calories? What I mean is, if you're already eating in a surplus, but you're hungry all day, is this a signal from your body you need more calories to recover, or that you could experience more growth if you satisfied your hunger? I think they're 2 separate questions. I think I'm going to tackle the second one real quick. I think the answer is when you say growth, obviously if you eat more, you're going to have more calories, and then you're going to have a bigger surplus most likely. But it could also be your body telling you that your metabolism is actually starting to take off. And if you don't eat more, you may fall behind on the gain, and that's not going to present itself for a few more weeks. So it really depends. If you're using MacroFactor and you look at your expenditure and it starts to kind of take off, the expenditure takes off, you'll see your weight trend start to level off. It doesn't sound like you're there yet, but I don't know what your trend looks like. So if that's what's happening, it could definitely be that you need to just eat more now and get ahead of it, and that solves the problem, right? And sometimes that's as simple as it is. But I want to go into some more detail, okay? And I know that's why you asked the question. So let's talk about the hunger hormone ghrelin. Now, there's mixed evidence on how ghrelin changes in response to exercise. We've seen, for example, high-intensity exercise can suppress your ghrelin, right? Sometimes actually exercising can make you less hungry. Highly intense cardio, in my experience, actually does make you more hungry. But lifting, like short-term acute aerobic or anaerobic exercise, because you do get some aerobic exercise while you're training, really doesn't, the evidence doesn't show that it changes ghrelin too much. However, the duration of your training session, the chronic training, the level of fat you have on your body, things like, are you trying to lose weight, which you're not, changes in body composition, all of that can affect your ghrelin in ways that we don't still fully understand. And that's why I said, if your body's changing right now, or your expenditure is ramping up, that could be legitimately triggering your hunger hormone, that you need more food to keep up with it. So that's one. The second thing is like the acute versus chronic. So with heavy lifting, there can be like that transient increase in ghrelin. a few hours after, right? And that's because you are depleting all your glycogen. You're causing some muscle damage as well, some tearing and things like that. And it could definitely increase it. Now, over time, you should adapt to that. Most people adapt to that. So again, part of this is a time thing, John. How long has this been going on? If it's been just a few weeks, I would let it level out and see, assuming again, your weight is still going up at a good, steady clip, because your appetite regulating hormones are very sensitive to a lot of this stuff, right? Like morning and fasted ghrelin, which is hunger when you haven't recently eaten, can go up when you resistance train, which is why I like eating before you train. And I know, you've heard from lots of other coaches, ones that we both know and we respect. Well, if you just have a big carb heavy meal at dinner, it can kind of carry over into your morning. Some people respond better than that to others. Others, it just makes you super hungry. So you just maybe eat before you work out, before you train. Chronic resistance training is the term in the literature, does alter other satiety hormones as well. PYY, GLP-1, we all know about GLP-1. But they usually have the opposite effect. They usually help you feel more full when you eat, right? So, which is also why I was thinking about satiety as part of this equation. If you already have a high satiety diet with lots of protein, good amount of fiber. I didn't really ask you about fiber, but really we're saying whole foods that you have to chew and digest that have fiber, that have nutrients, whether that's meat or dairy or fruits, vegetables, et cetera, grains, carbs, all that. We also didn't talk about what are your macros and all that. Obviously, you should be having plenty of carbs, plenty of protein to support your training and muscle building. No low carb diets or anything like that, or else that can lead to hunger as well. Lots of cardio would lead to hunger, but you're not doing that. So let's talk about what's the next thing on my notes here. So I mentioned these other hormones, right? PYY, GLP-1, CCK is another one. And these are the satiety hormones, and they increase when you eat. Kind of makes sense, right? As you eat, you're supposed to feel full. But they're also influenced by your training and your post-workout meal. And the resistance training is supposed to improve the response to these hormones when you eat after resistance training. Now, going back to your comment about what you eat after, you said 40 grams protein, 40 grams carbs. Here's another area of experimentation. I would triple that. I would triple the carbs. I would go at least 2 to 1, but ideally 3 to 1 carbs to protein and see what happens. So John, as you respond to my video here and take action, do one thing as an experiment for like 2 or 3 weeks. So one thing you can do is increase your post-workout carbs and see if that doesn't fill you up. Now, I don't like the fact that you're doing it as Gatorade because first of all, you don't need rapid uptake carbs after your workout. You actually need that before, during your workout. So if anything, you can shift your Gatorade to sip during the workout. That might help. I would rather you have whole food based carbs. So technically, even though you're telling me it's whole foods, that I would say is not. And you're better off having, oatmeal or, fruit is fine too, even though fruit digests faster, but it has fiber, something like that, right? Toast, have like some whole food carbs instead of the Gatorade mix. Because if you're getting hungry constantly, you don't need hacks like Gatorade in there unless it's purely a convenience play. Okay. And I know sometimes we tell ourselves, well, having the shake anyway with protein, might as well add the carbs in there. I would try to get that food in instead. All right. So that's another one that comes to mind. Now, as your body composition changes, right? Your lean mass, your fat mass, your energy expenditure we talked about, all of this stuff is affecting your BMR as well. Like not just overall metabolism, but the baseline metabolism is really probably cranking up, and that affects your appetite regulation. So if you're gaining lean mass, you're going to have a slightly higher BMR, and that can raise your energy demand, and then you feel hungrier. So again, do you need to adapt to it, or do you actually need to eat more because you're falling behind, right? And then when your body fat percentage changes, there's something called we all know leptin. It's another hormone, and that's kind of the opposite of ghrelin. It suppresses hunger, right? It's called an adipokine. That's the word, and it usually goes down when you lose fat. Right. So again, it suppresses hunger and it goes down with fat loss. When fat is higher, it tends to signal more satiety. I don't know that that's playing into it all here because we're talking short-term impacts. So, and you said you're fully recovered or you're recovering, right? So if you're recovering, if your glycogen depletion is not excessive, which it may be because you're not eating before and you're not eating very many carbs after, And then sleep, stress, all of that stuff can affect your hunger as well. What else? Yeah. So I think it's normal to feel hungrier on training days. I know I do. I know a couple days this week, I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm a lot hungrier than I thought I'd be. When's dinner? Because she was making dinner that day. And I'm like, I think I need to eat now, you know? And sometimes it's a timing thing too, right? Like if the time is moving around or you normally eat at 5 and now it's 6, all that stuff can affect it. And some of it is psychological, even when you're gaining, believe it or not, right? It's not just a challenge on dieting, but it's a challenge on gaining as well. And so hunger is this signal, and I love data and signals and KPIs for our body, but it's not always a perfect indicator of the thing we think it is, like that you need more calories, especially if you're training. Are your lifts going up? Like we didn't even talk about that, but you said you're training effectively, right? You said up here, training hard. I'm assuming you're actually progressing, because that would tell me something else as well. Is it getting harder to progress? That would tell me you are not quite in the surplus you think you're in. Hunger can overshoot relative to the needs of your body to repair tissue. And that again comes back to depletion of things like glycogen or even fluid, right? And that's your body kind of saying something's missing. I need to replenish it. And I'm going to tell you that you're hungry, and you could have mitigated it by just eating before you train. Now, other hacks, if hunger is really, really high, I mean, you said like you're ravenous or whatever the word you used here, through the roof, front load your calories. And again, I said pre-workout, that's one. Also, I suggested you increase your carbs post-workout. Earlier calories for most people, whether you train in the morning or not, can often buffer later spikes in the day. I think it's tied to our circadian rhythm and our cortisol. It's why even to this day, having a big breakfast is actually your grandma's advice actually makes sense. And then optimizing the density of your nutrition, right? The volume, the fiber, the protein for satiety, if you're not already doing that. And it sounds like you might not be 100%. Like anytime I hear a liquid shake, that's an opportunity to turn it into food. And then all the other indicators, right? Making sure you're actually gaining at the steady rate you say you are, and it's not slowing down. Making sure your strength is progressing. Making sure you're not too sore, that you're getting good sleep quality. Your energy is good all throughout the day, not just in the morning. If any of those start to lag, then that's a good sign to raise calories, right? And of course, we don't want to raise our surplus too much, but I think you have some room. So let me know what you think about this video. I threw a lot at you, but I think the takeaways are pre-workout nutrition for sure, which would be protein and carbs. Post-workout, jack up the carbs, and then the fullness of your diet. Those are the big ones besides the tracking metrics. All right, that's it for this month's Ask Philip. It's a monthly Q&A, so please, guys, take advantage of this after Alan posts the thread. I'm not sure why we don't have more. We used to have a lot more. I used to do it weekly. That's probably why. Now most of those sorts of Ask Philips are done in Physique University. So if you want to go in and get a lot more interaction there, a lot more Q&A and support, that's where you can do that. But in the meantime, check out the workshop tomorrow, and then I'll see you for the next Q&A, and I'll see you in the group. Have a great weekend.